Refrigerator Full of Heads, issue 1, Real Yours writing with Tom Fowler on the art. And this is set a few years, because I don't remember when in the 70s, but it was the 70s, the first book. Was it?
No, so apparently, according to this one, the first book set took place in the early 80s.
It does.
This one takes place in 84, and they talk about the summer before.
Well, yeah, but that's the
events of the first book.
Yeah, there's a prologue scene at the start, which is the year before, but that's not the first book.
No. But go in there. They talk about the sheriff on the boat, and he died in a boat fire last 4th of July.
Does it say last? I don't remember it saying last 4th of July.
It does.
When we get to that page, I'll dispute you if it says otherwise, but for now, I'll agree with you.
Hold it right now.
So it starts off with this scene a year prior, which is November 1983, and it's basically another collector of artifacts is being robbed by these vicious gang of thieves who demand this dagger that's got this engraving, and it's said to basically, if you stab someone with it, keep them alive. So they'll just feel the pain in this like constant state of like
so it's
shock.
It's based off the legend of Fenrir, who gets bound and can't move. Who's the giant wolf that attacks after during Ragnarok. I think he takes out Odin.
He does. He's Odin's death. That's why Odin is terrified of him and why he ties him up in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. So
prophecy and all that.
This family is just traumatized. You know, it's like a couple and like their like teenage kids or whoever, and immediately the villain, this main woman, just says, "Well, let's try it out," and just like stabs the old man with it, and it seems to work. He's like lying there in a bloody pool, but he's still kind of awake. He can still kind of like move his hand a little bit, but that's it. And then they just murder the whole family, and like not with the sword specifically, but with like just like blowing them away with shotguns. And like it has this brutal scene where you end the final page of it is just all these like 4 bodies lying in pools of blood. Like this is a massacre, not a slumber party massacre, but a massacre.
No.
So you get a scene of the police there, and like the guy who's still technically alive in pain because that's what the dagger does to him, has managed to write something in blood, like a symbol, to sort of give the police like a clue to follow. Right. So like, okay, we have to.
So this house is in California, right?
Yes.
Which is far from Maine, where the last story took place. And this house has a similar collection to what the sheriff had, too. So there's all this Viking stuff around them, swords, shields, and the people that are stealing it are very up on their Norse mythology. It looks like they have Norse tattoos. So then.
Oh yeah, they know their stuff. Whoever they are, they're clearly gunning for this particular item.
The father here that got stabbed before he couldn't, move anymore, he left a mark which is one of the tattoos on one of the guys. That's why I brought all that up. We'll see later. Yeah.
So then it comes to like now, which is July 1984, and we're back in Maine. We're back in the same town, Brody Island, and. If you thought, just before we get into the characters here, if you thought the parallels and the winks and nods to Jaws were heavy in the first book, oh boy.
This is 40 years ago, unsubtle.
So we find out quite early on that there's actually a shark in the water, and because of that all the beaches are closed. And they've been closed for like most of the summer at this point because they can't do anything about it.
A conniption fit about it,
In fact, and the couple we meet, they're driving. They have to like turn on Shaw Road as well. So just
Shaw, yeah. So on that next page, it's where they're describing the shark and whatnot. That's where it said used to be nothing much just happened on Brody Island, but just last year, our chief of police Wade Clausen, a damn good man, was killed in a boat fire and his wife was arrested.
Fair enough. It was last year. All right.
Yep. I know what I read. Yeah.
I'm sorry I doubted you. Matt is salty when he's hungry. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm cranky. Nobody likes me when I'm cranky. So. Anyway.
The audience probably loves it. So they're basically, this old couple are introducing them to this like lake house that they've rented for the week or whatever it is, or the summer. And the woman's a writer. She's going to be finishing her book. The guy says he's a cheerleader. I don't know if he's just joking though. I think he's implying that he roots on his wife and he does all the other
So
work.
that's definitely what he's saying. Because they go, she's here to write, and he goes, "What do you do?" "I'm a cheerleader." He has some secret skills because we'll see that in a minute.
Well, yeah, there's actually like a twist almost to these characters. When they're looking for stuff in the water and whatnot. But well, not even just that. Before that, they go to this biker bar, and the guy for some reason is noting down all the license plates to the bikes.
Yeah.
And one of these bikers like notices them and like grabs the pad and starts beating them up, and he ends up like running like over traffic and like skidding. He fights like them a little bit. He basically
knocks the big biker down. He
effectively it's a Jason Bourne scene.
Yeah.
He gets into a fight and runs and gets away, and he ends up jumping in the water, and he sees something glowing in the water, which brings him back out there with his wife later on a boat, which is very Jaws because they're in a boat, late at night or early morning in the water. And what did he see glowing? He saw the axe, which is still sitting down there from the last story, which makes a lot of sense. And they bring the axe up, and then they straight up get attacked by the shark. Now, as much as I've been kind of, I've been kind of making fun of it a little bit for the heavy Jaws referencing. It did make me smile when they mentioned it because it was so kind of like in your face that they're just doing Jaws references that blatant. It's all worth it because of where it goes. So they straight up kind of do a couple of Jaws moments where like this the scene from Jaws where Shaw's kind of like lying on the boat and the shark's chomping at him. They kind of do that with the wife, who doesn't get her legs bitten off, but effectively one of them grabs the axe and chops off the shark's head. But if you remember from the first story, ladies and gentlemen, what happens when a head gets chopped off with that special axe? The head stays alive. So you see like the bloody stump of the rest of the shark fall into the water, and this chomping head is still just there, and they end up having to chain it up and stay away from it because it's just chomping shark head.
Yeah, credit to the artist for writing all the chomps in there.
Oh yeah.
It completely takes over, and it's
because I imagine the sound of this would be constant. It's just like chomp 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 chomp, like trying to like bite stuff. Do you know what? This made it all work. This justified them having the shark.
Yeah, so I felt a lot of as I was reading this, like you did, where I'm like, all right, they're really going over the Jaws saying they don't have, this writer doesn't have Joe Hill's like sense of just add little breadcrumbs in there, and if you pick up on it, cool. I was talking to a friend on Twitter about this who didn't know if they wanted to read it, and I was like, so if the first volume, if Basket Full of Heads is like a really fun, like low budget movie, then this is the sequel that's not nearly up to level, but it's still going to be fun. I just feel, like it's just a little bit off. I'm here for this ride. Yeah,
I'm intrigued because obviously these two characters are like, you definitely get the feeling that they're investigating something because he was taking down the license plates. That the writing's a cover story.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see where that goes.
When he dropped the biker with a punch, and then runs across traffic, scrambles, and then the fact like they got a house that has a boat specifically for them to take it out, and that's where they point out the refrigerator that's on the boat. That's gonna come in handy, and there's definitely something more to these guys.
Yeah, I think the fridge is in the boathouse, not on the boat itself. If I remember right.
It was on the boat. Oh, let me look.
I don't think it makes much of a difference, really, but
no, but it was just very,
yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to get filled of heads. Maybe not the shark's head. The shark's head's too big, but
no, it's hanging up. It says even a refrigerator. It's an oldie from the 1950s, I think, but it'll keep your beer and bait cold.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So, yeah. No, this was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, as much as I was kind of like, rolling my eyes at how overt the Jaws references were, it did make me laugh, just like how blatant it was, and talking about the beaches being closed, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of interested. And the characters were kind of getting intriguing because they were clearly had skills that they weren't implying before. So it's like, oh, are they here? They're looking for the axe specifically. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like the axe is a happenstance. Because they're surprised what happens. They're surprised that the shark's head's still chomping. They don't understand it. So,
because they don't know. But I also like that the dagger seems to have the same markings as the axe, and I wonder what else is out there if that's what brought these bikers to Brody Island as they're trying to recover, because if that guy that they killed had the same type of collection as the police chief, what else is out there that they've already collected?
Yeah, so I mean, is it as simple as they are police hunting down whoever stole that dagger? That feels maybe a bit too obvious, but I mean, that'd be fine if that's what it was. But there's a little bit of mystery. There's some fun kind of stuff. Like also some time period stuff. He's wearing a Frankie says relax shirt.
Says relax.
Yeah. And at one point he says Frankie says jump before he jumps in the water when he's trying to get away from the biker gang. So there's a couple of little time period nuggets like that.
Yeah.
Was there not one of those shirts in the first book?
There may have been. I don't remember.
Yeah, there could have been, but
that
definitely had more of a 70s vibe when
deja vu moment of talking about that exact thing.
When it said the summer before, I was shocked because it definitely had a late 70s vibe to it. So the fact that it was early 80s was a little bit more shocking, but if it was supposed to be in the 80s, I don't, that would be very much in place.
I wonder if the 70s vibe is just because it was referencing Jaws so much that
could be,
and that that's mid 70s, so maybe that's just what the correlation is. Yeah, I'm definitely in for more fridge full of heads. So, or refrigerator full of heads. Sorry, I never say refrigerator.
No one.
That's a fridge full of heads.
Yeah, a fridge full of heads.
Or as I've been calling it all day in my mind, bucket full of heads. Don't ask me why. They're not. Those words aren't close. But sitting down to read this today, I was like, it's time for bucket full. I mean, refrigerator full of heads.
Well, it could be a makeshift fridge.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of ice in it.
Yeah, sure.
At least if you said freezer full of heads, I'd understand. Yeah. All those living heads probably wouldn't enjoy it very much, but what do you think of the art? I mean, we mentioned all the sound effect chomps from the artist, which was fun.
Art's solid. Like it feels very much in line with Leo Max, but you can tell it's definitely inspired from that. Like they borrowed the style guide, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's distinct of its own. I don't think it's as good as Leo Max. It's not as refined, but it's decent.
I think it works well enough in the sense that, I talked about how the massacre felt quite gnarly. All the stuff with the shark getting its head cut off felt really fun. Like, it kind of nailed what it was supposed to feel like every single scene in the book. I never felt like the art was detracting or not helping get across what the tone of the scene was supposed to be and how I was supposed to feel as a reader. So, and I think that's a pretty big compliment. It just doesn't feel like one, because it's not specific details that I'm talking about, but I do mean that as a really big compliment. So, all right, Matt, what are you giving Refrigerator Full of Heads issue 1?
I'm gonna give it 7.5.
Yeah, I'm happy to give it an 8. I think I had a good bit of fun with this. So.